Hi, and welcome back to the Good Morning Marketers podcast. So my name's Aisha, and I'm a digital marketing assistant here at Mitchell & Stones, and we're joined by Maisie.
Hello.
Who's also a digital marketing assistant at Mitchell & Stones. Today, we're going to be talking about metrics and why they sort of aren't exactly what they might seem.
No, they can be vanity or they can be accurate.
Yeah. So sort of like what's going to sort of actually mean something in the long run, what you should actually be focusing your effort on.
I think it's such a common misconception. Like in marketing, we just focus on likes, we just focus on like followers, and we're sat there kind of scrolling through Instagram being like, oh, how many likes has that got? Has it improved? And sometimes I think marketers can massively fall into that trap of just constantly focusing on that. And realistically, what does that tell us about their business? How does that affect their overall business strategy? It literally doesn't at all.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's that sort of like instant validation that you get from it. Because even using it personally, obviously, if you sort of pop off, you get a few more likes than usual.
Like, oh, okay.
I must be doing something right.
Yeah. And it's what everyone else can see. Yeah. This is what this is what I do as well. Like everyone else can see how many likes you've got, or they can see like your follower count. I think that's why everyone's like, oh, we've got to focus on. That's the most important thing here. But is it?
Yeah. Thing is, I totally get it, especially if you're sort of trying to like establish yourself or the brand, yourself as a brand or the company as a brand.
Yeah.
Then I totally get it, because it is like it's sort of it makes things feel a bit more legitimate sort of thing. And I totally get it.
Like, oh, don't pay attention to them, like they're not worth it. You can look at them and like it's good to see like consistent increase, and I think it's good to
have like goals you want to reach as well. 100%.
Yeah, but then don't be saying, right, 1 month 10,000 followers, because it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, 0 to 10,000. That's
especially working in marketing. When you hear that, you just think, don't think that's quite true.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors at play there.
Yeah.
I think as well, it's just like sort of with the instant validation thing and like seeing, oh, this content has driven so many more followers and so much more attention to us.
Yeah.
I think that's why people and like brands hop on trends like too much. Like that's almost their entire strategy, and it's just it's not serving you well.
It's become massive recently, hasn't it? All I see is like as soon as something trends, everyone's on it. I get Ryanair pop up. Do you know what I mean? It does get quite tiring. I end up just skipping them.
Yeah,
because I'm bored of it.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I think it's difficult, isn't it? Because obviously hop on trends because they're funny, or you know your audience would definitely like them. They align with your brand.
Yeah.
But I keep seeing it time and time again where it's like the short form video strategy, for example, is just like trending audio, and like that's it. Yeah. Like, oh, we'll do like all 3 trends a week,
and sometimes it's not applicable.
Yeah,
like sometimes and businesses do it, and you're like, oh.
That's not for you.
Was that needed?
That's not for you.
But like in that situation as well, like we were talking about, that they need to be looking at the metrics of that. Like instead of just how many likes has it got, has it driven any traffic to the website that has actually spent like any sort of time at actually going through your website? You know, are they actually like looking at different pages, or are they literally liking it and just moving on? Because if they are, that's not giving the business anything.
I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because sometimes you need that viral content to sort of like trap them.
Yeah.
And then get them on your page looking at things that are actually going to sort of nurture them.
Yeah. But then can we replicate that? Like this is the hard thing. Like you can create one viral, but then you have to try and figure out like, can we replicate that again to keep the audience there?
Especially with trends and like I think that's all marketers talk about, but like algorithms, you know, do you know what I mean?
That word.
Oh, jump scare. But algorithms, like you can't, everyone's like, oh, I found a way to hack the algorithm.
It's not.
I wish.
We wish. We do. If we could do it, ideal.
Everyone be a marketer.
Yeah, very true, very true.
Yeah, but it's hard because you sort of jumping on trends and things, it kind of shows the brand's personality.
Yeah, which I do think is so good.
I think it's really important.
And people like, when you look at like, if you look at brands like, I don't know, Ryanair, for example, they do the most comical, funny content, basically taking the mick out of themselves for their downfalls. That's performing well because their audience knows they're not trying to be perceived as the British Airways. They're not trying to be perceived as this luxury brand. They are literally, they get you to from A to B, and that is that.
Yeah.
if British Airways was to do the same thing, it wouldn't work. So that's where it's like marketing. It's like, no, we can't all just do the same thing. Can't all just hop on that trend because Ryanair's done it. Like, it's not really how it works.
Yeah, I find that annoying. Like, trends are great, but they really represent your brand.
Exactly. Go a bit awry, which is true. Yeah, I agree. And a way that we can do that is looking at the metrics. But looking at the actionable ones. Not saying that like vanity metrics are bad, but like I know for myself, like when I've worked on accounts before, I have focused so much on like it's not got enough likes, or I've focused so much on it's not got enough shares, or it's not got any shares. And it's like, hang on, but it's actually generated traffic to the website, or it's actually made a conversion happen on the website.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even some accounts that I've worked on, we've had inquiries come through, and the person said, "Oh, I really liked the video that you posted. I really liked the photo," especially when it's sort of someone's personal brand, not a company brand, because obviously that's kind of harder to navigate exactly where they come from. But and they haven't liked it, they haven't shared it, none of that. Just a sort of ghost.
This is what I mean. It's ghost followers.
Yeah,
it's not the people that like and interact every day. It's the people that come across your content maybe once, twice. They don't even like it, and then all of a sudden they've gone to the website and converted, and it's like, what?
Yeah,
it is quite shocking.
Yeah, it's weird to think about, but I think that's why it's so important to create content that nurtures.
Yeah,
and
totally agree. Not constantly like, promotion, here's promotion. Have you seen this recent deal? I literally would scroll past.
I mean, it gets to a point where you just unfollow.
Yeah.
Because no one wants to no one really wants to be sold to.
Exactly.
Unless you're doing it in a certain way.
Yeah, and then people start unfollowing you, then your vanity metrics look bad, and it's like, this isn't good.
Well, metrics are there for a reason. I think it's how we interpret them.
I totally agree.
And it's what we put like so much focus on.
Yeah. Like if you're getting followers, if you all of a sudden surge in followers because, I don't know, an influencer has reshared your post, then that's really great, generating like traffic, all of that. But we also have to be like, can we replicate that? Could they become like a brand ambassador for the company?
Can we have other ones?
Exactly. Yeah. It's something like, okay, that influencer resharing it has like pushed our traffic a lot. How can we replicate that to make it like actionable?
But also, is it traffic that's converting or will convert? Because there's so many different variables of whether it's actually valuable.
Yeah.
Because, there we go again. We're like, oh yeah, let's push so much traffic. Yeah. What's happening to the traffic?
Are they actually doing anything?
Have they just turned back around?
No. So when you go onto Google Analytics, you're like, yes, we've had so much traffic, and it's like none of them have converted.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, what's going wrong here?
Yeah.
Is bounce rate really high? Like, I had one client whose bounce rate was like 80%. And they had like an issue with the CTA on their website, which means obviously when people were clicking it, it literally wouldn't do anything.
Well, that's why the user experience is so important. And I think that's why it's so easy to just sort of keep doing the doing or keep monitoring things or, monitoring. But you almost need to like step outside of that and then go visit it as if you were like a customer or a potential prospect. And then fully like pick apart the process and almost think, maybe have a notepad next to you and think, I liked this about this.
Yeah.
This part I didn't like about it. Because the one time that you're going through it and you're like, I didn't like that about it, that's where like most people are just going to exit the site because 100%. We're just lazy. We're so lazy. So the user experience needs to be like perfect.
And like you say, when it's not perfect, if you're checking those metrics, go and checking Google Analytics or going and having a look, you'll realise it, which is why it's so important to check.
But you actually don't even want to get to that point.
No, you don't.
That's why it's crucial. You should have checked.
If you haven't checked that, I don't know. But yeah, and I think it's really tricky because, like you say, we kind of get into this echo chamber of like, oh, let's just look at the likes, look at the follows. No, like go to the website, have a look. Actually like trial it yourself, like you said, and I think that is so important, like when you're working with a client.
Even on social media, thinking about the user experience, because I think obviously if you're the one creating the content or it's your company, you might be a bit biased and everything's going to make sense to you, but your potential prospect or customer, you might be using industry terms, they don't know what that means. Like it's like sometimes if we were to post and we were to put just SEO,
what's that mean?
Some people won't know what that means. I know it's probably a more popular marketing term.
Yeah.
But even things like CTR, click-through rate, all of those sorts of things. They won't know what that means.
Acronyms, they're an absolute nightmare, especially in marketing. We have so many of them. So like, even when we're doing, marketing for Mitchell & Stones itself, it's like we have to be so careful.
You have to be conscious of it, But like we've worked with all sorts of industries, so many industries here at Mitchell & Stones that at least where we're maybe, even though we do the marketing, we're not experts in those industries.
Yeah, exactly.
But we can sort of step outside of it and see. But I think if you're the one doing the marketing for your brand or your personal brand, then that's something you really need to focus on and make sure that you're actually looking into that.
Yeah, you can easily fall into the trap of like, oh, that's completely understandable because I can read it and understand it. Well, I work in marketing.
Yeah.
Like when I was trying to get into marketing and I was looking at all these, accounts and I was like looking through them all thinking, oh, like what content do they post? They were all like quite a lot of them were using acronyms, but not explaining what they mean.
Yeah.
And for me, who was a complete newbie, I was like, well, I'm gonna have to research this like on my computer because I had absolutely no idea.
But like that's fine because you were interested in getting into the industry. But if we bring it back to like the customer or the prospect, that's another thing that's just going to make them exit. They're not like you.
They're gonna have no idea.
If you're a customer or prospect, you're not going to care about that.
You're going to annoy you.
Yeah.
It's going to annoy you. You're going to have to be like, I don't want to research what the term is.
I need to know. Just tell me. I'm here to buy. I've got money.
Yeah.
I promise.
User experience, that is.
I've got money to spend and you're wasting my time.
Yeah. But then I do think it's tricky with socials because it's like when you're, doing it from the face of a prospect or you're trying to prospect a certain target audience. And it's like you have to really put yourself in those shoes. And sometimes they can be complete opposite of you.
Yeah.
I think that's where it can be a struggle. It's like, right, let's get into that mindset. Like, what is this person going to want to see?
I think that's what makes, I'm not saying that's me, maybe it is, but I think that's what makes a good marketer. Yep. Like being able to, like having that ability to literally be like, right, I mean, me, I'm a young woman from Southampton, but maybe my client's prospect is
completely
an older man from London.
Exactly.
Boom, I'm him. I'm thinking about
what's he going to like? What's he going to actually, has he got time to look up?
All of those different factors. Even thinking, time is such a key one as well. I think especially since we're mainly B2B focused, like that is so important.
That is, and also on that, like we're B2B, so we're working with business to business. So, who are we actually going to be talking to? We're not talking to consumers.
Yeah.
So sometimes even jumping on trends, we've got to consider, is that actually how that business wants to be perceived? And is that what, those businesses that are going to work with them are going to want to see?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's tricky, isn't it? When you see a trend, you're like, oh, that's amazing. I would really resonate with that. But we're not talking to us.
Yeah. I think as well, it comes back to time, but even time in terms of everything has a budget. So, and you can only get so many social posts, so many newsletters, so many this, that, and the other out. So making sure that you have to make sure that every piece of your content is aligned and makes sense, because otherwise, in the grand scheme of things, you are wasting your time and you're sort of setting yourself.
Posting for the sake
it's like
of it.
Maybe like 3 steps forward and then 2 steps back.
Yeah.
So it's sort of difficult because you have to constantly you have your strategy, but you need to be checking in on it and constantly analysing.
Which I think is something like at Mitchell & Stones that we can do is like we'll check in with like the business objectives of like potential clients, or what are they going to want to see. It could be brand awareness, which is like great, we can show them the followers and the likes, but actually like a grand scheme of things, they're going to want sales, they're going to want like conversions. So how are we going to track that for them? How are we going to produce results that actually, when we've got the manager in the room, they're going to actually be paying attention to and be like, okay, that's what I wanted to see. That's how many sales we've got, or that's how much it's cost me to have an acquisition. Which is so much more valuable to them and their time.
Well, it also comes back to like talking in industry terms. We understand them because we live them every day. But our clients maybe don't understand them. So
we've all been in that situation.
It's also as if one of our clients was to talk about their industry, something very, very niche to me, as if I understood it. And I would be like, oh, let's circle back.
I've actually got no idea what you're talking about.
So
we've all been in that
like
situation.
Being mindful, isn't it?
Of
like for the customers, and then also when you're talking to your clients.
Yeah. We've all been in that situation where we say something like, oh, yeah, CPC. And they're like, what's CPC? Like, what does that actually mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's really important that we tell them that and explain to them we've also all been in that situation where we are reporting on like vanity metrics, like here's how many likes you've had, and they kind of look at you like, I'm not as interested in this because it's not telling me.
Oh, it's not money. Yeah.
It's not telling me the ROI. It's not telling me how's that helped my business. We may know it's there for brand awareness, but we need to think, okay, what do they want to see?
Yeah.
What's important to their business?
Yeah.
Which I've repeated about 4 times, but it's so important.
It's that important.
I have to keep saying it.
Okay, so I feel like that's everything that we needed to speak about today.
I feel like I've got all my thoughts out.
We've covered a lot. So I think we'll wrap it up here. But thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the podcast and you're listening, then feel free to follow and give it a 5-star review. And if you're watching, that's what we like.
Come on.
Even though, is that a vanity metric?
Oh, it might be.
And if you're watching, then subscribe and give us a like. But yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.